Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl, Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, the Road Dog, with none other than the man, the myth, the Dolphin King, the King of the Caribbean, the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Karl Bryan. Hashtag not a real doctor.
Not a doctor. That's it. How are you, Shoots? What's going on? Maybe we should tell everybody I was out sea-doing this morning and 3 dolphins came scooting straight up to my sea-doo, which is pretty cool. And I carry goggles around and I jumped in the water and was hanging out with a few dolphins this morning. So that's how I started my day. Just kind of neat.
That is, you know what's funny? They always talk about like earthing is a good thing, right? So is that sort of like you're almost like immersing yourself in the earth by jumping in the ocean? Are you not?
Yeah, I am. Even my buddy, I've been with my buddy and he swims like, they roll over and he rolls. He's a really good swimmer and he's like rowing over while they're rowing over. It's kind of wild to see. So I'm not quite at that level. I'm just trying to scoot around and hover over top of them and get a good look, and it's pretty cool. So there you go. That's how my day started though.
Cool. Well, you know what? That sounds rather, wait for it, Zen-like, KB. Do you want to start off with that? Because I know we've got a needle mover at some point coming, I'm sure of it. But let's give me the Zen thought of the day as you're swimming with the dolphins and they're rubbing up against you.
Zen, actually, you know what? I was listening to Arthur Brooks on the weekend, and I was thinking of this. And he says that happiness and unhappiness are stored in different parts of the brain, right? So they're not connected. They're like literally opposite of one another. So as an example, if you move closer to work and lessen your commute, the question is, will you be more happy? And the answer is no, but you will be less unhappy, right? So commuting to work is a huge source of unhappiness. No doubt you could work that out, right? So is work travel, by the way. But it's not going to make you more happy, but it does make you less unhappy, which no doubt, kind of brings up the scales. So anyways, and by the way, people who don't travel for work, right? They'll often say, oh, I'd love to travel for work. And then they discover it's not a lot of fun after about the 3rd trip of hanging out in a lonely hotel room. So again, doesn't make you more happy, but it will make you less unhappy to move those types of things out of your world, right? So be generous with everything except for your time, right? Zen, actually, there was one other one. I wrote this in an email, and it was weak people seek revenge and wise people seek to ignore. Actually, I think there's a forgiveness one, and there's one revenge one. Weak people seek revenge, strong people seek forgiveness, and then wise people seek to ignore. So again, I've mentioned that, like the elite stance is not being less judgmental or not judgmental. The elite stance is not noticing. So anyway, Shoots, that's the best thing I can think of for a bit of a Zen moment.
The other thing that adding to that a little bit of the opposites, have you ever read The Dark Side of the Light Chasers?
No.
So it's basically a book that talks about because we're all very, very good at beating ourselves up and going low, getting down on ourselves and getting into a pit, right? And then we can say, wow, like I can't believe how low I get. Yes, but in The Dark Side of Light Chasers also talks about the deeper you can go on that side is you have the same level of capacity on the other side.
Up. Yeah, there you go. Like the lower, like a trampoline, the lower you go down, the higher you can go up. Yeah, that's cool. I never even heard of it. But good book.
Yeah, it is a very, very good book. Yeah, it's it's really good. If anybody's sort of in perhaps a darker spot, that might be a good read to go through. So Let me ask you though, we got a question that came in here, and it's just, do you recommend fundamentals over advanced techniques with coaching clients? Ooh, I love that one, because as much, and you know me, KB, I'm all about like, no, I want to do the big, shiny, fancy thing. I think I know where you're going with this. So go ahead and let us know your thoughts.
Nice. I agree. That's a good, I think that's a kind of, because business, look, the frame is that as a business coach, you show up and you feel like you got to be uber, intelligent, or the master, or the one to have all the answers. And look, the answer is definitely fundamentals. You think about a pro athlete is somebody that mastered the fundamentals, right? So a pro baseball player falls into a slump. When he goes into the batting cage, what does his coach talk about? Eye on the ball, elbow up, weight distribution, same things as you'd teach. Like say you got a 10-year-old and he's just literally learning to bat. Those are the same things you'd say: eye on the ball, elbow up, weight distribution, etc. And then, by the way, what they also do is they take them to watch film of when they were, hitting the home runs, getting singles, batting really, really well. And they're doing that again. Why? Mental edge, to strengthen their mental game, which is absolutely a fundamental, right? So what they don't do is say, and again, I've said this before, and it sounds ridiculous, but really think about it. Like the guy who's been right-handed his entire life, the batting coach doesn't say, you know what, geez, this is a really, really bad slump. We got to put you on the other side of the plate. You need to start hitting left-handed. You got to start hitting the opposite way. You know what I mean? Like, ridiculous to even think about, right? Or it's the home run hitter going, look, forget the home runs. You got to start, bunting and running to get on base. Not going to happen. But if you think about it, fundamentals versus high level techniques, right there. And then also, like, even think about it like from math, right? Like learning basic math is like 10x more important than learning something like calculus or advanced math. Like knowing that $1 million is $83,333 a month, or like $19,230 a week, or like $2,700 and change per day. Like understanding that so that you can get your head around, you want to get to, like, what do your clients want to do? They want to get to $1 million. Well, you got to be able to help them get to $2,700 a day, right? Or again, percentage wise, we built profit acceleration software. The foundation of it is percentages for a reason. Knowing that when you take, margins from 20% to 30%, that is not a 10% increase. That's a 50% jump, right? Or you've got a landing page and they're converting at 2%. You come in and you change the headline and you make something red and you point an arrow at the buy button, and you take them from 2 to 3%, right? That's not a 1% improvement, right? That's a 50% improvement. So understanding, you know what I mean? What would be an example of, even as, understanding the basics of math are going to be significantly more important than calculus. And there's a debate to say that you literally would never use calculus ever again for the rest of your life. And I think most people would agree with that. Or even understanding brand, right? Like Walt Disney, the guy's been dead for 75 years, right? Elvis Presley makes more money now than he did when he was alive. The guy's been dead for decades, right? That's brand. Is your client going to be in a position to be able to, concentrate on brand versus sales? Probably not. But understanding the power of brand, the positioning of brand, the importance of brand, I think, again, would be something as a business coach, you'd want to understand the basics of, like, in other words, don't do damage to it, right? That's why I bought a bunch of domain names, 10, 15 years ago. I just knew that was, probably going to be a thing. I had no way of, it was on instinct above all else. It was a pretty good hunch, paid off well. But at the end of the day, understanding brand had a lot to do with why I would have gone and purchased those domain names. And I've paid, $10 a year for literally forever. So shoots, before I throw out fundamentals, like here's something else, autobiographies, right? Like Walter Isaacson's Steve Jobs book and then the Phil Knight Shoe Dog, and of course Elon Musk's book as well, which I've talked about a lot lately. Look, my opinion, they're absolute must reads, but you'll find when a billionaire comments on an impactful book, you notice that often it'll be an autobiography, percentage-wise, and very common. So translation, according to billionaires, you should stop reading the how-to book and start reading autobiographies, right? And question for you as you're listening to this, Mr. Business Coach, are you reading how-to books or are you reading autobiographies? And it's even, something else we talk about, but you go through your Facebook page and there's going to be the latest and greatest and the very loud, boisterous, what we'll call an influencer. And again, might have some fabulous advice, might not. But what I know is that when you go to Charlie Munger's advice or Warren Buffett's advice or Ray Dalio's advice, you've got something that is tried, true, and tested for literally decades. And again, fundamentals, right? Again, Warren Buffett's never, if you listen to Warren Buffett, his investment advice has been the same for decades. And it is, dollar cost average the index. That's it. The top 500 companies in the world will always want to grow, always want to become more profitable. Buy, in dollar cost average, which basically, again, you don't buy everything today, you buy it, every week kind of thing, right? That's what Warren Buffett says, not financial advice, by the way. Do as you so choose, speak to people much smarter than I, but that's the advice that he gives. Basically what he's doing is he's giving fundamentals through and through. So that's my answer, Shoots. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that. Love that. So I got a bit of a random question here for you, and let me set this up a little bit, okay? So back in the day when I was still in financial services, I got some coaching by a gentleman named Bill Backrack, not related to Bert. So one of the things that he always said is when a client comes in, he says you should never say, "Hey, thanks so much for coming in," because he really felt that was like they're doing you a favor. Because I got a question around that then, do you have a framework around greeting clients?
Around greeting clients. Well, okay, so in the first 90 days when so there's tactical and strategic, and strategy eats tactics for breakfast, right? No doubt you're a business coach, you kind of understand that framework. But I will tell you, over the first 90 days, I would get, depending upon situation, your talents, their talents, where their business is, if they're doing 500 grand a year, 5 million a year, 50 million a year, my advice would adjust. But let's just assume it's the average coaching client trying to get to $1 million. Margins aren't the best to do. I'm going tactical for those first 90 days as opposed to strategic, right? So that, so greeting clients, again, and you look, do you have a formal onboarding? Like, again, when we take on clients, we've got a formal list of questions that you ask. What you're going to find, thinking, said this a zillion times on the podcast, but thinking is nothing more than asking and answering questions to yourself, right? So when I ask you questions, I'm directing your thinking, right? So again, when you listen to a Tony Robbins presentation, you're going to find he's asking questions constantly. You speak to Tony Robbins, again, you would talk 80% of the time and he would ask 20% of the time, and a good portion of his part of the conversation, assuming he was trying to influence you in some way or challenge you in some way, or he had an objective, he would be asking you questions, and that's how he'd be directing the thoughts. So again, I'd want to be directing my client's thought. But I will tell you, in fact, here's something I said to my internal team just this morning. Like, what you want to do is you want to focus on the customer, right? Don't focus on you. Don't focus on your income. Don't focus on your company. Don't focus on your brand. Focus on the customer. Make them very happy. Results. Advertise it. Social media, emails, when you're speaking to folks. bring them to your events and have them stand up and, give a testimonial of, how it's been working with you. So make them very happy, advertise it in different ways, get 10 more just like them. It's a landscaper doing $750,000 a year. I dare say you got a formula to be able to help that specific type of, like a landscaper doing roughly those numbers. Go find another one. So and then repeat, right? So again, frame, focus on the customer, make them super happy by way of results, advertise it multiple different ways, go get 10 more just like them, and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So that's my answer, Shoots. What do you think? You like?
I do. Do you think, coming back to the first one, do you think by saying things like, "Hey, thanks so much for coming in," and stuff? Hey, is that, am I overreading that? Is that too much?
Yeah, you want to. Look, you're, and again, isolating the situation. And I think personality type also comes into it. But thanking them and being too excited would not be the way. You know what I mean? Like, just think of a doctor. Doctor's got the ultimate position, right? Again, always in a white coat, to do. Stethoscope around the neck. You know what I mean? You wait in the waiting room, right? You don't come and just like hang out. You wait in the waiting room. You go up to the secretary. There's a gatekeeper there. So yeah, too much enthusiasm. So what you want to do is you want to congratulate, start your first coaching call with congratulations. Like when they buy, reach out your hand and say, congratulations, we're about to take this thing to the moon. So that's my answer, Shoots. That's my answer.
Okay, so now we've got that established. Let's back up the truck here a little bit, okay? So, because we always have a good element of new business coaches that are listening, and for them, they're really trying to get out there and get their first and then maybe their second client. So if you were new to coaching, Karl, and you need to get a client, and I'm going to put a time limit on this, let's say 48 hours, where would you go?
Okay, where would I go? Start with finding an audience that's likely to buy. So who would that be? Somebody who's spending money on advertising. You go to the baseball diamond, there's people advertising. You look on the, an online directory, who's advertising. The old school, there's probably a local magazine, there's probably a local newspaper, in fact, I guarantee not too far from you, who's advertising on that. So I'm looking for companies, the bill, you're driving down the highway, there's always going to be all those billboards. Those people are spending that's costing money. And what they're saying is, I'm trying to grow my business and this is the method that I've chosen, right? They've handed over their credit card for that. So companies advertising is a really, really good one. Businesses for sale, I would look for those. Again, they're looking to sell. The reason they're not selling is probably don't have their ducks in a row. Think of, if I was going to sell a house, I would always get it staged. So again, are they staged? Probably not. The business, get the website tight, get the marketing material tight, make it all centered, like you make it all flow and rhyme. In that, it all, that the website looks the same as the marketing material, looks the same as the business card, etc. And notwithstanding, I would, look at the business, and I'd go through my Jumpstart 12, and then on the profit acceleration software, and I would go, if we do this, and this, profits are going to jump X amount. So 2 questions. One, do you want to do this straight away, or when somebody buys it, do you want to provide them this roadmap and say, look, here are some needle moving things that I just haven't gotten around to. So when you buy it, if you do these things, you're going to do really well, right? So anyway, so businesses for sale, members of BNI, again, if they're going to BNI, they're probably sandbox type clients, to be clear, but not always the case. And people going to BNI are they don't go to BNI. Well, there's a social aspect to it for sure. Normally, but really they're trying to get new clients. They're trying to get referrals from other business owners. Members of the chamber, same thing. They handed over their credit card to get a membership. The golf club has probably got a business club. It's going to have some advertising and some sponsors. I'd be looking there. Another one, local award winners. Again, your local newspaper are going to have awards once or twice a year. The people that are nominated for those awards and are winning those awards a lot of the time are advertisers, no surprise. But also they're obviously doing a good job, and they're also very active in the community, and they've obviously got noticed for a reason. I think that, looking at local award winners would be a good idea. I would also, again, I'm brand new. One of the things I would do, like, people like to help, right? So I would go to close friends and close contacts and family, and I'd say, you got to ask properly, and you don't want to be like MLM style, right? But like, look, I'm looking for a business coaching client to test drive my new business coaching prowess and skills. And not to mention, my new fancy software, depending upon if they're working with us. But at the end of the day, I want to help me get in front of a business owner. Do you know of anybody who might be interested? And I will assess their business at no charge. And I'm very comfortable the roadmap that I will provide is really going to knock them off their socks. And by the way, let me email you an example of a profit acceleration, of a framework, of an action plan, of a profit acceleration assessment that they would get and what the numbers look like. You know what I mean? And look, what can they do? They can say no. They can ignore you. They can not send somebody. You know what? If you ask 10 people, I bet that you would end up getting in front of at least 2 prospects, if not significantly more. So again, for some, I can feel it. They go, oh, it feels a little bit MLM, bugging all my network. But I don't know. You build up a relationship with these people for a long time. They do like to help, right? You're not going and, you be very upfront. Look, some of them are going to buy coaching and some of them aren't. And if they do buy coaching, this is what it's going to look like, and this is how much I'm going to charge. And I guarantee to give them, like a month-to-month money back guarantee. Would you give me a shot? Another thing. So anyway, I'd go to my close family and contacts. Again, I'm brand new within 48 hours, right? Like, I think that you'd hit a couple of singles. If nothing else, you'd get a whole lot better at trying to assess a business and then pitch your coaching. So again, if nothing else, just see it as practice. Remember, Tom Brady threw the football for free for a very, 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 very long time before he started getting paid. Another thing, actually, I'd take the same approach because there's a really good chance that a banker. I would go to them with the same approach. I would go to an accountant, same approach. I would go to like a financial planner, same approach, a lawyer. If I knew anybody in the mergers and acquisition space, I'd go to them. If I knew a business broker, I'd go there. So yeah, that's what I would do. Actually, hang on. Okay, so let me give you some homework. Before you do that, here's what I would do. I would do an exercise and make a list of 50 ways to help. And let's just say a landscaper, right? So I would write down 50 ways that I'm going to help a landscaper. And what that's going to do is give you an unbelievable amount of confidence that if you get in front of a landscaper, my heavens, am I ever going to be able to really move the needle with them? So when I went to the banker, I could specifically ask for a landscaper or a restaurant. You know what I mean? Like, you could be specific. But anyway, so that's what I would do that, and what that's really going to do is strengthen your confidence and make you feel really, really comfortable that you're going to be able to help them at a high level. So what do you think, Shoots? That's what I do.
Shoots, I got to tell you, there's some clear oversight there. You talked about the business broker, the banker. I didn't hear anything about the butcher, the baker,
There, sorry, Shoots, I missed it.
Like, you knew it was coming, bud. Like, it's right there. How can I not, right? Hey,
while you're here, Shoots, well done.
Quick question for you. Do you think that perhaps maybe partnering with a business broker and saying, hey, you know what, for people trying to sell their business, maybe I sit down and I do a quick start with them or whatever, like I run them through the software, would that not make the business easier to sell?
100%. You should be forming a joint venture with a business broker. And what about the business broker gets like They get calls from people that want to grow a business. So start a business. Should you get education before you start or after you start? We know the answer, right? But so before they buy the local cafe, and dad buys the local X shop for his daughter, maybe a really, really good idea that she gets a business coach. He gets a business coach to get started with, right?
Yeah.
And then the other calls that the business broker gets is people that want to sell a company, but there's just no chance, right, that this thing is going to sell, right? So guess what? Look, you're not in a position now, but look, here's what we can do. Let me hand you to my buddy. And she will be able to guide you over the next 12 months, and he knows what we're looking for, and he or she knows, the framework that will help you sell this thing, which basically is a profitable, systematized business. So, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you should be helping those. And then the other category that they get are people that want to sell their company, are able to sell their company for X amount. Why not? They're trying to sell it for $1 million, 2.5 million. What if instead of $1 million, you could help them get 1.75? And what do they say, 2.5, you could jack that up to 3 or 3.5, and not to mention make it significantly more attractive, right? Think of, again, staging. You wouldn't want to sell a house without staging it, or certainly I'd encourage you to think about it. So should you stage, like if you go to like businesses for sale, I got to tell you, look at the photos. It's no different than a dating app, right? If you go to a dating app and there's a really good photo, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that this person will get a little bit more, more messages and more attention than somebody with a bad photo. And what the person on the dating app with I haven't been on a dating app. I've been married with my wife 19 years, right? So I don't really know what these things look like, but I just know that no photo would not get any attention, or very little. A bad photo would get far less attention, and a spectacular photo, a well-taken photo would have to bring in more attention. Well, okay, translation. If I was going to sell my restaurant, I would pay a professional photographer to come in just when the light's just right, dimming. I would turn on, I get fluorescent lights, and I would take a photo, and I would make that that thing look absolutely spectacular. And the same with when you're trying to sell a house, right? Again, people skimp on the photos, which is the absolute wrong place to skimp if you're looking to sell a house, right? So hopefully you're getting the logic of that. So don't skimp on the photos for the business, and come up with, again, really good photo for your business. You got a lawn mowing business that you're going to sell, get all the lawnmowers strategically placed, wash them all, polish them all, get them cut and polished, and make them really, really shine, and take a photo of that, right? Or take a photo again of, the front of the building at the right time of day with the lights on, and make it look good. So anyways, and then not to mention, and that's trivial stuff, but the website, get it tight, the marketing material, get it tight, make it all, rhyme or reason in between, all of those things, make it all look the same and well branded. So there's my answer, Shoots.
One thing I'm going to add before I go to the next question, then that we'll leave it at this next question. But the one thing that, so Dan Martell, he always asks the question, and this is for people not just selling their business, but anybody. Ask yourself that. Even Karl can ask himself this: if you were to sell your business tomorrow, what's the first thing that they would change inside of your business? Like that question right there. And guess what? They all know exactly what it is. If I ask you that, Karl, you probably know exactly. If somebody bought your business tomorrow, you'd be like, yeah, no, here's exactly what they changed. So then the question is, well, why aren't you doing it? Right?
Yeah, and that, Hunter, and if a professional came in and looked at your business, what's the first thing that they would change? Yeah, and as a business coach, guess what? And by the way, guess what? You just ask your coaching client that question, and he'll give you the right answer. This is one of the first things that you work on, right?
It's funny how that works, hey? Okay, so now we've quickly talked about if I need to get a client in the next 48 hours. Of where I'd exactly go, but what am I offering them? Like, because again, like, hey, hi Karl, I'm a business coach. I can help you with your revenue. Like, come on, man. Like, what? Like, for real? Like, what am I saying? What am I offering them? What am I putting in front of them that is going to make them go, yes, I need you right now in my business?
Okay, the frame is education. Okay, so you know they don't know what they don't know, so you got to make sure that you educate them. Otherwise, and educated people buy more. Okay, so education. So in a perfect world, look, you know, a lunch and learn, a profit acceleration workshop, something like that. You know what I mean? But if at 48 hours, I'm not going to have enough time. Maybe I would, by the way, but probably not. So I just look. My friend is going to offer it. I would offer. I'd say, look, you know, Dave, here's what I want to do. You got me for a half an hour. I want to give me the number one business problem that you have, and let me see if I can solve it on this call. Okay. And again, you know, it's going to be systems, it's going to be staff, it's going to be sales, it's going to be marketing, right? One of those four generally, but, you know, and again, that would be testing your resolve as a business coach. But if you did that, you know, 10, 25, 50 times, imagine how good you'd get at it, putting yourself on the spot. And then, you know, basically I'd be leading them to a, you know, free or look, again, a free business consultation. So 20 minutes. And I would just go through and ask them some questions. You know, what do you do? What's your pre-sales process? What is your sales process? What's your post-sale process? These types of questions. It wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Again, remember, I'm doing 20% of the talking. They're doing 80% of the talking without doubt on that call. So that's one of the things that I would do. Or again, I would look at, so solve the number one problem or a free business consultation, which would basically be an informal conversation where I'm asking them some questions, I'm delivering value. And then I would take that and offer like a 2-hour formal, you know, in our world, a profit acceleration assessment, but, you know, like a proper diagnostic of their company. And at the end of that Q&A, do you have a business plan? Do you have a marketing plan? Do you got a marketing budget? Do you have any joint ventures? Again, do you have a pre-sales process? Do you have a sales process? Do you have a post-sales process? Do you have an upsell? Do you have a downsell? Do you have a cross-sell? Do you have a market dominating position? Do you have something to help you stand out? Have you ever looked at your P&L and look at the expenses and negotiate and then cut any costs back? You ever looked at your credit card statement and done the same? And the answer is going to be, you know, very predictably, no, 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 no. So what happens is, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like it's like death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's like do you have a business plan? No. Do you have a marketing plan? No. So by asking these questions, it's impossible for them after that process to say, yeah, no, I don't need your help, right? And in one case, you might find a client that has like a lot of that type of stuff in place, but that would be the absolute anomaly. So at the end of that, I would close them. Right. And by the way, if they didn't have the money or I wasn't persuasive enough, because again, I was somewhat new to this, I would offer scaled in pricing, right? So again, if I'm $1,000 a month, that could be like 250 month 1, 500 month 2, 750 month 3, 1,000 month 4 and onwards. If I'm $2,000 a month, I guess that could be 500, 1,000, 1,500, then 1,997. You know, just if you're $5,000 a month, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 2,500, 2,500, and then $5,000 a month starting in month 3. And by the way, that I wouldn't go straight there. It's just I'm new and I'm not able to close this person, and they want to go away and think about it. If you leave, you can't recreate the same energy that's in that room after the Q&A. You got to get them sold there, because when they go and they speak to their wife and they speak to somebody, or they think about it and come back, you know, today, tomorrow, next week, very seldom do they buy, right? You got to be able to close it. You got to be able to close it there. So, yeah. So anyway, so that's shoots. That's what I do. And I wouldn't let fear stop me. Most important. You know, fear just gets in the way. Look, people are going to say yes and people are going to say no. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that you're not, don't let fear drive you. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to stumble. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to get said no to. You are going to sit with people and light a lot of time on fire and have them not buy coaching. That, if you're new, these things are reasonably quite predictable. Okay, well, Tom Brady threw the football for a long time for free before he started getting paid, right? So again, you got to get out there and practice. So anyways, that's my answer, buddy.
Yeah, it's what's interesting. There's a couple thoughts I had. One was I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I think it was actually Talkie that talked about Don't be afraid to give it all away for free, because it's not the information that people are willing to pay for, it's the implementation. And that's just, I think, such a key thing, because everyone's so worried about, well, I want to hang on to all my trade secrets. No, you don't. Like, Gary Vee says the same thing, right? He goes, I can give away everything for free, everything that I know, and I know that 98% of you won't do anything with it. Yeah. So I think that's an important piece right there. So the other thing is, and by the way, that adds how much more value to your presentations. Like, it's unbelievable. And then the other thing, can we get away from $250 and $200 starting points? Like, dude, we've been talking about this for how long, Karl? Like, I remember the puppy dog clothes, and we talked about $100 what, 8 years ago. Like, $200. What are you getting for $200? Like,
but I tell you, 3 months is, I hear you, right? Let me tell you though, 3 months is going to pass anyways.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So if you're up at 750 on your way to 1,000, and by the way, remember, this guy or gal, they're in the sandbox. They need to learn right now, right? They need some runs on the board. They need somebody to go to get some referrals. They got, somebody to speak to their next prospect and talk about the success of their last client. So your job, because understood, like at the end of the day, just, do 333, 666, 997, etc. And then, keep going up from there to 1333, etc. on your way to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. But you gotta get the deal done, right? You've got to get the deal done. You leave the intensity of that moment when you go through the Q&A process. You're not going to be able to remanufacture it in a second call. It won't happen. So
what do you think the deal average coaching price right now? Like, what are you seeing as sort of the average that you 25. See? 25?
Yeah. So, and again, there's those in the sandbox, and those, like $2,500 a month. That's, for a good coach, doing some good things. I mean, there's $5,000, $10,000 a month. I mean, these clients are all, you know what I mean? These coaches are all over the place. Right. But that said, $2,500 a month is a,
do you think,
you know what I mean? That's not the average, but that's a good number for a good coach.
Do you think the average person is too fixated and too stuck and not flexible enough with their pricing?
100%, 100 without question. It's one of the most simplest, easiest leverage point for every entrepreneur. Price. 100%. And then what you can do, like, it's like late night, you stay up late night and they're selling you, the doggy bed, whatever it is, and it's like buy one, get one free. We'll break it up into 3 payments, right? So they still get the same amount of money, but they get it over 3 payments, right? And to make 2 of these units versus 1 of these units it's a negligible amount of money. So, to get the deal done, it's, and to get the customer and to get that relationship built, so price, be flexible, both on amount and terms.
Okay, so close us out with one needle moving activity from today's call that somebody can take right now and put into their business.
Right now, I think that framework, and again, if you want to, you sell one-to-one coaching by promoting yourself, and then you sell group coaching by promoting the other members of the group. Okay, so think about that. Like, as a framework, focus on the customer, make them very happy, advertise it in multiple ways, go get 10 more people that look just like him or her, repeat, repeat, repeat. Focus on the customer, make them happy, advertise it, go get 10 more. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So
love it. Love it. All right, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the Dolphin King himself, King Karl, the King of the Caribbean. And if you're not on the inside, if you're not getting access to the pre-show, the daily emails, all the access to things like this before everything, right? Go to focus.com. If you're looking to grow and scale your business coaching practice, that is the place to be. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with someone that you think might make a great business coach or a fellow business coach. And of course, we'd appreciate it if you'd rate it as well and leave us your comments and your reviews. And feel free to leave us your questions. And that is it for another week. We will see you on the next episode. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.